Recently, it seems like Ghost of Tabor has been subject to a lot of criticism. And for the most part, I think these criticisms are very valid. With the game's increasing in price and soon approaching its 1-year anniversary, I think it's fair for fans to start expecting more from the developers. But today, I'm going to be white knighting for those Tabor devs, and maybe shedding some light on a few issues some people in the community have had with the current state of the game.
Before we get started, I want to clarify to everyone that this is all criticism, and I understand that this game is in early access, but that doesn't excuse from the developers from criticism or feedback.
This is an important distinction to make. Ghost of Tabor is still very early access, and we should keep that in mind whenever we're discussing or criticizing the game. It is not a finished product, and a lot of things are subject to change. Further in the video, he will often compare Tabor to other VR games like Pavlov. This is an unfair comparison. Pavlov is a classic VR shooter and has had 6 more years developed than Ghost of Tabor. Not only that, but the gameplay between both games are extremely different. But even still, Ghost of Tabor has some of the best weapon handling across all VR.
Scott, please add the SSGO8. Scott, please add the SSGO8. Scott, please add the SSGO8.
So let's start off with the biggest issue at hand, the weapon handling. It's not good. Now look, I get trying to make the game realistic with weapon handling is nice and thoughtful, but I feel like there's some issues with that. See, ADSing, it just doesn't feel right. You know how in other games like Pavlov or Contractors or any other FPS game out there, you get a good feeling of how the weapon sway works and how the ADSing works as well. Guess what? In this game, all the guns feel off in some form or manner. The feel of the weapons is also off dramatically, and I will compare this to Pavlov and Contractors again. Tabor doesn't come close to making the guns feel good to hold and shoot.
You make a blanket statement that all the guns in Tabor are uncomfortable and don't feel right. I know you probably haven't experienced most of the guns Tabor has to offer, and not realize the more modern and expensive weapons feel a lot more comfortable to shoulder and to fire. Yes, certain guns feel gross to hold and hard to handle, but this is a feature, not a failure of the game's systems. If a gun is uncomfortable and hard to handle in real life, then these flaws are going to be translated in-game to the best of the developer's abilities. Guns with better real-life ergonomics are going to be easier to handle, and I think this is displayed in the game perfectly. You can easily see that the guns he's using to demonstrate this issue are extremely uncomfortable looking and dinky as hell. Tabor isn't a competitive shooter where every gun has its strength and is finely tuned and balanced. The game strives for a realistic experience, and that means some guns are going to be god-awful. But I think this only adds to the game's charm, and makes the satisfaction of progression so much greater.
You see that again? There's a glitch right there.
This is just one out of the many common bugs players have to deal with. Sights not being accurate, grenades flying through walls, and crashing are daily occurrences for me and the rest of the community. Tabor is a glitchy mess, and covering every stupid bug would be impossible, but these are important issues that need to be pointed out.
Now, aside from core mechanics in the game, I have another issue, and that is the amount of time it takes to level up traders. Each quest gives you a certain amount of XP to grind to level up with the traders, but the amount needed to get to level 2 is extraordinarily bad. This isn't just a Tabor issue, it's also an extraction shooter issue, which I'll get into later, but the point is that it takes so long to level up these traders. I shouldn't come back from an 8-hour shift to only do 2 quests and gain a sliver of experience.
Tabor's trader leveling can take forever, and oftentimes leave you in a monotonous loop of completing the same, most efficient quest over and over and over and over. I think more mature extraction shooters like Tarkov do missions much better. They have more objective-based missions that are unique and can only be completed once, and missions that force you to try different maps, guns, and playstyles. But no, Tabor's trader leveling should not be easy or quick. The main objective of Tabor is progression through leveling your traders, gaining expensive gear, and accumulating wealth. Making that process long-winded and difficult through grindiness and risk is what makes Tabor's trader leveling and the slow burn kind of progress so rewarding in the end. In the end, I think the frustration that this creator has, and those who think the same way, is derived from a misconception on what tabor is supposed to be. So when creators like this and others I see online compare tabor with other VR FPSs, it kind of confuses and upsets me because I know tabor is a great game, and I know that a lot of these other VR games are great games as well. Tabor is on a path of greatness, and hopefully in the next few years we can see it become a masterpiece of VR shooters. There's so many updates and so many leaks and so many things that the developers want to add that have got me so excited for the future of this game. And if this video doesn't come out horribly, maybe we'll see each other again when I cover tabor for another time.
Scott, please add the SSG08.